Hello everyone, this is Nim Holkar. Welcome and good to see you all. Thank you for joining in, and you are watching Sunday Chats with Nim, where each week we bring you a special topic to help you get ahead both personally and professionally. Now, because Facebook Live takes a while to kick in, and because it takes some time for people to get the notification and then log in, while we're waiting for everyone else to jump on board, I'm just going to quickly share this live episode in some of my groups. And having said that, if you feel that there are any friends or family who might benefit from listening to today's session, the topic for today is how to deal with negative thoughts. So if you think any of your friends or family might benefit from listening to this, please also share this Facebook Live session on your timeline so that other people too can gain value from some of the strategies and tips that we will be exploring in today's session. So just give me a moment, guys. I'm just going to share this in some of my groups and I won't be too long. Just opening. Okay, so let me just do this very quickly. All right. Well, how has everyone been this Sunday? It's again a wonderful warm day here in Sydney. And today we have about 20 minutes together. So if you have any questions related specifically to today's topic, which is how to deal with negative thoughts, please do type your questions in the comments and I will do my best to answer them during the live session today. So let's get started. Welcome again, everyone. My name is Nim Golkar. I am an author and success coach based in Sydney, Australia. For those of you who don't know much about me, I'm currently writing book number 3. The first book, called Diary of an Immigrant Bride, which was fiction, is a love story that explores some of the typical migrant challenges and dilemmas. And the second book, called Unlock the Real You, which is a nonfiction, it deals with personal and professional development. So that's just a little bit about me. And let's get started with today's episode, how to deal with negative thoughts. Because I like my live sessions to be as interactive as possible, please do say hi so I can say hello back to you. And also, if possible, let us know where you're listening in from. For example, you could say hi from Sydney, hello from Delhi, hello from Auckland, or whichever city you're listening in from. It just helps me feel a lot closer and more connected to you all. Okay, so let's get started. How to deal with negative thoughts. Just give me a moment. I'm going to take a quick sip of my refreshing peppermint tea just to preserve my voice for the duration of today's session. One moment. Okay, so life nowadays is pretty chaotic. It's pretty hectic for many of us, right? So many of us are battling daily with many different issues, many different challenges. So much so that it's really easy to get stressed out about many different issues, both big and small. Now, people often tell me, Nim, I would be a lot more productive. I would get a lot more done during the day if only I was able to banish all the negative thoughts that keep plaguing me throughout the day. Now, I know you must be thinking that it's practically impossible to banish negative thoughts. But let me assure you, there is hope. Once you learn and progressively master the art of letting your negative thoughts know that it's you who's the boss and not the other way around, things become a whole lot easier. Hi Neelam, glad you're here and listening in. Thank you for joining in. So let's talk a little bit first about what are the effects of negative thinking. What happens when we allow negative thoughts to dominate our lives? Now, negative thinking patterns, if we are unable to channel them in a positive direction, if we are unable to manage them effectively, they can have an incredibly negative impact on our day-to-day lives. If we allow negative thoughts to overpower us, they can lead us to living in a constant state of misery and in a constant state of helplessness. This kind of negative thinking can also impact our social lives, our relationships. It can either turn us into loners who don't want to have anything to do with anyone around us, or on the other end of the spectrum, it can make us compulsively seek the company of other people because we feel unequipped to deal with solitude. We feel as though if we are left alone, if we are left by ourselves, we'll revert to that negative thinking and then we'll get into a state of depression. Now, another side effect of negative thoughts is that we can go through life constantly expecting the worst. We go through life always expecting nothing good to ever happen. And you know what happens after that? It actually is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because when something does eventually go wrong, when things fall apart, when things don't go according to plan, we automatically start the game of self-blame. And we say things like, see, I always knew that nothing good ever happens to me. And when we start thinking like that, we allow negative thoughts to become even more firmly embedded in our minds. And we get sucked into the spiral of negativity, and it's almost impossible to escape it. We have no clue how to come out of this spiral. So before I talk to you a little bit about how to escape the spiral of negativity before it completely destroys our peace of mind, our well-being, I'm going to actually talk to you a little bit about how negative thoughts are born and how we lead ourselves to negative thinking patterns. Hi Manisha, nice to know you're joining us from Melbourne. Thank you for coming on board and listening in. Like I mentioned at the start of the show, guys, please do say hi to me so I can say hello back to you. And it's a great way to remain interactive. And also let me know where you're listening in from which city. So we can all feel a lot more connected in this live session. For those who joined a little bit late, today we're talking about how to deal with negative thoughts. And we've just covered some of the negative impacts of negative thinking. So now I'm going to actually talk about how negative thoughts are born. Okay, so I'm going to ask you all to imagine a scenario. Just imagine this. Let's say that one fine morning, an unexpected guest knocks at your front door. You open the door. Delighted to have some company, you greet your guest and welcome them in. And you usher them to the most comfortable sofa in your house. And then you offer them a cup of tea. Delighted with your endless hospitality, your guests ask whether they can have a cup of tea, and you agree and you make them a cup of tea. As they're sipping the tea, you entertain your guest with endless funny stories and anecdotes from your life. And within no time at all, you have them roaring with laughter. And then what happens? Seconds, minutes, an entire hour passes by. And your guest by now is well ensconced on that sofa and is showing absolutely no signs of leaving your place. So a little half-heartedly, what do? You ask them to stay on for dinner, and of course, they agree. Right? So you make dinner, and they're having dinner, and another few hours roll by. By now, you're getting a little bit uncomfortable because suddenly you have remembered all the different tasks and chores that you haven't got around to doing. But how on earth are you going to tell this guest, who by now is unwelcome, to leave without sounding rude? So what do? You now say, would you like to have some dessert? Because of course you're trying to appear polite. And your guest is thrilled and says yes. And another hour rolls by. By now, you are extremely uncomfortable and you start dropping all these subtle hints to let your guest know that they have overstayed their welcome. But your guest does not get the hint. And finally, at the end of your tether, you ask your guest to leave. So I hope you've imagined this scenario. Hi, Jenny. Hi, Yazzie. Thank you for joining in. Lovely to have you on board and listening in. So why did I just tell you this story about unwelcome guests? Because that's exactly what we do with our negative thoughts when they come knocking at the front door of our minds. That's exactly how we deal with negative thoughts. Let's say, for example, bang in the middle of the day, it suddenly occurs to you that you are a complete failure, that your entire life has been utterly meaningless, that you've achieved absolutely nothing, and that none of your dreams have come true so far. That, my friends, is your unwelcome guest announcing its arrival. What you do after that is what makes all the difference. So what do? You allow this negative thought into your mind. And you are extremely hospitable. You offer it tea, snacks, dinner, dessert. What I mean by that is you allow your mind to look for more and more reasons that support the original negative thought which told you that you're a failure. So you look for proof and more proof that you have indeed done nothing with your life. And that original negative thought now puffs up to twice its original size because of all the attention you are showering on it. So that original negative thought cunningly leads you down memory lane, taking you to all the nooks and crannies of your life, reminding you of some of the most humiliating and embarrassing moments that you have ever experienced. And what happens? You find yourself increasingly dejected. And you know that there are many chores and many goals that are still not accomplished. And you know that you've got to go and attend to them, but by now you are paralyzed, you are numbed, and you're unable to do anything because the negative thoughts have taken over. They've become your boss instead of being the other way around. And by the time you've finished crying and cursing your luck, all the productive hours when you could have done something meaningful with your life have disappeared and they've been banished forever. So what could have been a beautiful, productive day boils down to nothing more than a colossal waste of time. Guys, at this point, I want to encourage you, if you do have any question related to negative thinking that you would like me to provide strategies for or help with, please do type that out in the comments so that I can help you out during today's live session itself. Right? So that's a little bit about how we handle negative thoughts and how we allow them to take up permanent residence inside our heads. So now a little bit about how to actually banish those thoughts. What can we do to escape that spiral of negative thinking? Well, the first step, I would think, is to recognize the thought as soon as it has crept in. right? Because unless you are aware of what's happening inside your mind, unless you're aware that you're on the brink of negativity, that you're standing dangerously close to negativity, you're not going to be able to manage it and do anything with it. And once you've recognized the negative thought, the next step is to visualize the possible damage that it has the potential to unleash. Once you recognize it's a negative thought, you've got to ask yourself, what is at stake? What are all the tasks and what are all the goals that will be left unaccomplished and undone if you allow yourself to be sucked into this negative thinking pattern? So I'm going to give you a personal example. Whenever I find myself precariously close to giving in to a negative thinking pattern, a negative thought pattern, I force myself to stop and think about what are all the tasks, what are all the projects that I need to get completed today, right? Because once I visualize all the things I have to get done, it suddenly puts everything into perspective. Let's say, for example, this could be related to a personal life or your professional life. Let's say you have an urgent project at work that needs to be submitted later in the day, and you know you don't have the liberty of indulging in all these self-limiting thoughts. Hi, Dimple. Thank you for joining us. Or let's say that it's the weekend and you've invited a dozen guests over to your place for lunch. You know that if you allow yourself to start thinking negatively, you're going to get further and further sucked into that spiral, and that'll put you into a terrible mood, and you won't be able to enjoy the company of your friends when they do arrive, right? So the first step is to recognize that. What is the possible damage this pattern can do to you? And then, my friends, once you've recognized all the damage this negative thought can do to your life or to your day or to your goals, the next step is to lead it out the door of your mind and to stand at the front doorstep of your mind waving goodbye, and don't turn your back on it until that thought is safely and truly out of sight. And once you've actually let that thought out of your mind, then you must get busy with the smallest and easiest but productive thing that you can think of. For example, if you are waiting on completing an urgent project for work, set the ball rolling on that. If you've invited friends over for lunch, get busy with meal preparation. So whatever it is, get busy with your goals, because that's the only way to keep your mind focused. So friends, negative thoughts, they're all around us, 24 hours a day. Negative thoughts have absolutely no agenda in life. They can keep you company forever if you allow them to, because they have nothing else to do. But I want you to remember that negative thoughts don't disappear. They don't disappear by magic. You are the person who will be responsible, who needs to be responsible to lead these negative thoughts out of your mind and close the door on them. Because friends, your time is precious. And the sooner you let unwelcome guests know that today you're in no mood to play host to them, the more liberated you will be. So friends, that was my topic for today, how to deal with negative thoughts. I am hoping that you have enjoyed the topic, and I'm hoping that you have found some strategies and tips to help you deal with a negative thought pattern the next time it crops up in your mind. If you've enjoyed this video, I'm assuming that some of your friends and family might enjoy watching it too. So please do share on your timeline so others around you can also benefit from some of the things we've explored in today's episode. I will see you again the following Sunday, the same time, which is 4 p.m. Sydney time, with yet another topic to help you get ahead, either personally or professionally. Until then, have a fantastic week ahead, and I'll see you very soon. Take care.